Morning puts a false calm on Route Nationale 175. Poplars stand neat on both sides. Hedgerows form green walls that turn a single lane into a rifle barrel. The tarmac blanches under a broken sun. Overnight rain dried to crust. Dust lifts in pale sighs under idling tracks. The British column stretches nose to tail. Cromwells, carriers, Crusader AA, softskins, and an HQ wireless truck. Men bareheaded on hulls, tea-mugs sweating beside hatches. Engines murmur, turrets are open for breeze, voices low. Point 213 rises ahead. Orders should arrive. Consolidation is the next line on the page, if they get there before the enemy adapts. Captain Pat Dias is at the hinge of it, watch on ground, mind on nets that don't quite agree. The regiment's Cromwells sit exposed at a slight dogleg. Soft verges pin the softskins to the crown. The spacing is neat on paper, tight in reality. 6, 8 tank lengths at most. A map lies across a turret with a pencil line toward Villers Bocage and an unanswered question mark. Radios glow, but A sets and B sets divide urgent from local. Somewhere, a frequency card got swapped. A recon troop has seen movement and shouted into the wrong room. The infantry net isn't listening to armor. The AA troop scans a clear sky, hearing only its own protocols. The ground wants one thing, the clocks want another. In the hedgerows, privacy is a lie. A Daimler or Stuart noses forward, catching only slits of world through farm gates and cart gaps. A silhouette flickers, then loses itself in leaves. The NCO has responsibility, but not authority. He transmits, or tries, or thinks better than to add noise to a net that isn't his. He knows the promise of Bocage. You see only the next slit. The one who waits gets the last look. The weather colludes. Clouds slide, cutting light like shutters. Sun grazes the hedge tops, throwing white edges on armor plate. A low haze blurs distances west of the road, brightening any steel that shows itself. Sound travels, then folds along the lane, and engines approach drifts, more suggestion than location. The poplars hold their leaves and their secrets. For the British, the quiet is comfort. For the other side, it is aim. Michael Wittmann wedges his Tiger on a reverse slope where the field drops off. Hull down behind hedge, driver holding the clutch like a bridle. His vision is a periscope slice and a gunsight circle, narrow, exact. The 8.8 cm Kawindagyo K-36 sleeps level as a rule, reticle floating where Tigers earn their pay, side plates, engine decks, turret rings. Ahead, the road aligns like a ruler with Cromwell broadside. He knows this geometry. One enemy's convenience is another's killing lane. He does not wait for the rest of his company. He does not wait to be a plan. Speed now saves everything later. No one plotted this with flags. The moment makes itself, a hedge gap no wider than a gate, a Cromwell sliding past with its long slope catching sun. Turret ring shadow a dark coin. Engine decks sit a seam higher than the road. The lane runs slightly downhill to him. He can hear British engines at idle, the relaxation sound. If the British crest 213, they get arcs and radios and HE. If he breaks them here, he turns point 213 into a hinge that swings his door. He nods. The Tiger takes gear like a fist tightening. A Crusader AA sits in mix like a misfiled tool. Twin 20s can rake sky. The turret spins fast, searching. The sky is empty. The ground is not. On the ground, a Crusader AA is agile and thin, dangerous to anything but a Tiger's face. Lieutenant John Cloudsley Thompson keeps one ear to an air net that's quiet, the other to a murky ground net that skips his call signs. He warns his gunners, listen low, watch hedges for glint. He knows quiet mornings carry danger disguised as ordinary sound. The column makes sense only if the movement stays clean. Cromwell's, HQ tanks with taller aerials and tidy markings, soft skins with chalked roots, rations, parts, carriers with infantry, and PIATs meant for alleys, a recovery vehicle that will have nowhere to turn. Mix tools by availability rather than doctrine. Fine if flanks are held. Here the flank is hedgerow and a belief that the Germans have pulled back. Belief is not a flank. The tiger breaks the hedge. Clover shivers down armor, mud claps leaves. Inside smells like oil and iron and breath. Outside, the noise is a rolling bass line more felt than heard. Sun glances off the glacis. Paint shows thick utility on a plate British six-pounders hate. The barrel pushes through green like a curtain rod. The gunner breathes out. AP is seated. The reticle holds. A broad, lit rectangle of Cromwell side waits. A lorry driver swats a fly, checks his mirror, sees poplar leaves and a trooper's shoulder. The 88's muzzle is still inside the hedge. He hears a deeper engine and assumes a gear change up the line. He has left his lorry canted to the verge to make room for tanks. That angle is the only escape route the tank behind him will need. He cannot know. Someone laughs about French apples. The Daimler's earlier report bounced off the wrong nets and dissolved. Armor B sets hum with adjacent chatter. An infantry company hears nothing. One burst on a B set could have told a neighbor to pivot turret to 2 o'clock. Someone else is testing his set, whistling in a room nobody knows is burning. Diaz sees Villers Bocage's roofs catching sun and mistrusts the ease. He is too good to be complacent, and still the morning masks the hinge. The seconds line up to betray. Inside the tiger, angles equal lives. Wittmann keeps his thick face where any awake threat would come from. He knows his tracks are heels. Roots and stones can rip a shoe and freeze him. He wants enough speed to bank the first shots, enough position to turn his own vulnerabilities into bait. He is alone, and solitude usually means risk. Here it means freedom of movement. The road's descent gives him momentum. The gun's traverse hums low. The barrel clears leaves. The sight is brutal. A Cromwell broadside at a few hundred yards, turret not looking back, commander bareheaded, throat turned toward a map. Reticle settles. Breath goes out. The loader's palm slides off steel, a scald of adrenaline. He starts what cannot be taken back. On the British line, tiny signals trip. A tank driver sees soft skin too close and a branch that won't swerve, a curve that looks benign. A carrier corporal wonders why the birds went silent, then dismisses it. Diaz opens his mouth to talk spacing. The first 88 makes that irrelevant. A slam snap, pressure wave slapping canvas, birds rocketing out of poplars, the world leaving the before. The shell runs straight down the air. Through glass, Wittmann sees crosshair and gray-green. The breech recoils and resets on oil and heat. Leaves leap. In the reticle's edge, as the first target takes its fate, the next one is already sliding in. The first Cromwell shudders into flame, fire punching up hatches. A figure tries to climb and is gone. The second round crosses calm morning and meets a turret ring seam. Plate splits like fruit. Up the column, beyond the bend, engines idle. At this end, the lane becomes a decision you can only make in reverse. A driver jams his boot. The lorry jumps, hits a rear plate, and locks the road. Crates explode. Tins spin. The Cromwell behind cannot swing left without eating hedge and right without lifting a track off the crown. Horn, shout, not gear. Seconds nail themselves to macadam. The tiger's periscope arcs light and shade. He has the angle, nose downhill, never showing flat flank to someone patient in the poplars. Tracks bite, slip, bite. Each turn asks something of the final drives. He spends only what he must. The third round is for the HQ wireless truck, an aerial whipping like a fishing rod. When it goes, a net vanishes. British radios shrink. B sets whisper across a troop. A sets reach HQ that is up the road, and now, by accident, behind. Someone wonders if it's Americans. Someone else shouts, "Tiger," and points north while the tiger sits east. Hedgerow sound makes liars of hands. A corporal's message goes where his neighbor can't hear. Orders sag like wet rope. Cloudsley Thompson's AA crew swings by reflex. Twin barrels scrape stucco, seeking sky in a town fight. A muzzle flash blooms inside a hedge. He drops, runs tracers as blinders, bead of light to spook or mark. The Oerlikon spit, ricochets spark off a face that won't care. His Crusader noses for a ditch that isn't, a black trough ready to eat a wheel. One rim slumps to the hub, turret mid-swing. Wittmann turns into the tracer thrum with calculation. Always his glasses forward, always the gun for node. Aerial cluster means command, canvas on a table means HQ, bareheaded men clumped on a hull means orders. The 88 writes big punctuation. A command Cromwell takes a bolt through its turret. The map on its hull lifts and flutters onto the road, pencil line trembling in hot wash. Loader works wordless. The sight rocks, steadies, chooses. Down the line, Dias feels movement in his teeth more than ears. He drops into his turret, boot slipping on wet paint, and sees the mechanics of the ambush at last. Reverse slope masking the Tiger, sun bleaching German paint into silhouette only when it fires. He speaks into his throat mic, spacing, reverse, smoke, too late for neat. A carrier eager to obey spills into a hedge, tail of canvas flapping. Hedge hides the Tiger until he decides otherwise. Leaves explode as if thrown from a basket. He rides the verge to skirt the new wreckage, each half-meter a decision. A stump could tear a track, a hop could show belly to a waiting PIAT. He keeps motion because a stopped Tiger is a problem with many small answers. He edges over roots and gutter stones like a seamstress following stitch. Soft skins commit steel for it. A Bedford crosswise becomes a gate that won't open. A dispatch rider drops his bike and runs empty-handed. His message runs with the bike. Lost. A carrier noses into a gateway to clear the road, then sticks cockeyed to block both lanes. A driver parks tight to a stone wall, protecting his lorry and pinning a Cromwell's traverse. The 88 does not hesitate for walls or habits. British gunners answer where they can. A Cromwell slaps AP onto a 100mm face. It pings away like a coin into leaves. Smoke grenades bloom low. The damp morning keeps it at ankles. Eyes and optics ride above the cloud. It's a cushion, not cover. A sergeant calls for a 6-pounder. The order has to cross 2 nets and a runner to reach a gun that's not yet in a place where its angle matters. For the Tiger, the calculus is seconds saved by everything crippled that might call for artillery or sweep his hatch. He feels the gearbox pulse when he steers hard. Trackpads scrub. The scream of steel on asphalt travels. He asks smooth. He gets protest. He hears his own limits, and he chooses to buy time with velocity instead of perfect geometry. In the column's middle, procedure buckles. An infantry net calls armor. Armor can't hear. The AA section keeps scanning up because that's where threat fits in their training. By the time they accept the threat is on tracks at head height, their traverse has already lagged. A half-track full of ammo tries a 3-point and bites a doorway, bricks checking speed with noise. Every driver hears a different order and picks the one his wheels can obey. Noise becomes a weather front. The 88 lifts dust, slaps it into the gutters. Flames build their own wind. Poplar leaves come down like slow rain. In that moving storm, the one constant is a silhouette at the end of the lane where next shots will come from. British loaders hurry and slow at once. One fumbles around and watches it roll under the basket to a place he will never reach today. Wittmann keeps count by rhythm. He hears by tone when he's cracked an engine deck and by whine when he's wasted a shot. He shoots radios first, then turrets that swing fast, then tanks that can outrun him, then anything that can reverse to bite later. The column is a hierarchy of threats, and he reads it like chalk. The Crusader AA coughs sparks into hedge and sets it alight. Flame draws his outline for an instant. A British gunner swings into that silhouette and fires. The round glances, whining into brick. The Tiger pauses a heartbeat, lets the gun settle, then drops a shell between hatch and mantlet. The AA's tracers hiccup and die. A motorbike that no one had clocked lights and darts into a side gap. salvation or cul-de-sac. Beyond the bend, some things still look normal. Engine idle, cigarette lit, a tin label turned in a driver's hand. A sergeant wonders aloud why they've stopped. His question travels down to where flames rewrite context and vanishes. The word tiger finally finds enough ears to be a thing that acts. Dias climbs for height, the only way to see over hedge and believe his ears. He tells his troop to fan out and remembers there's nowhere to fan without breaking a hedge older than any of them. He orders reverse. 4 gearboxes answer and cough. There's no room for straight lines going backward. He orders smoke. It spills and makes them cough too. The textbook won't hold. What's left is improvisation that looks like panic unless you own it. A recon NCO who went too far forward returns with a report that burns his tongue. Heavy German armor moving. He shoves it at the first officer shape he finds, a driver in a leather jerkin who can only point and swear. The NCO runs the message himself. His net is wrong. His legs are right. He runs into the current of heat and men. The 6-pounder arrives as intent first. Men drag it by rope through a forecourt, scrape bricks, lose a wheel cap in a drain. The barrel noses between windows that sold bread yesterday. The crew whisper ranges and breathe flour dust. 50 yards. 80. The commander wants side plate. The layer wants any plate that isn't frontal. The loader wants to wait for a breath that feels solid. They settle for the first chance that isn't suicide. The tiger sees the town like a maze that grants close knives. He shouldn't go alone. He goes anyway. The road loosens ahead as wrecks behind knot. Buildings set at right angles. Streets channel. Corners promise control if you get there before defenders map their own grid. The risk is a gun tucked behind crates. The prize is shock, the British grasping too late where their angles live. His driver needs no words. The turret points and his hands translate. The tiger is too wide for French archways. Glass explodes in sheets when armor kisses shopfront. The tracks bite cobbles. The tank's inside air trades field for plaster dust and bread. Each window is a threat, each doorway a mercy or knife. The horizon collapses to a chessboard. Far back, a sergeant gets half of a net to listen. Tiger in the lane, moving into town, multiple hits. He shouts for the 6-pounder. He does not know it's already in a doorway, 2 streets on. He sends a carrier with a PIAT to so-and-so. The nod he gets is exhaustion, not comprehension. He believes in pinching at town entrances. It's a good plan. It's late by one shopfront. Wittmanns' loader taps the ready rack. The sign is bad. Low. There are shells in hull racks, but rummaging in a street fight eats time they don't have. He fires what's left with priority, anything that can talk or sting. The AA is a bruise to his eyes and a threat to his hatch. The radios are a bigger danger. He silences both when he can. Each crack buys a moment before the next environment. The column accepts this isn't an air raid, not friendly, not a small bite, but a single heavy tank inside their traffic. Guns look for windows. Commanders slam hatches they should not have opened. Men standing on decks jump and vanish into ditches that a minute ago were cow fences. They commit themselves to infantry fights along fences painted by smoke. The day reshapes itself. The town is a funnel. The road behind is a boneyard. From above, the road is a string of flame beads. From ground, it is a hallway into a square dressed for peace. If they can get him into corners and shutters and columns, they can kill him with angles. Angles need time. Wittmann trades his long kill lane for brick and signage. The road narrows, pinching the hull. The sound grows too big for the space. The high street is cluttered, a carrier skewed behind an arch, a Bren poking from a window with moving laundry. He keeps the nose square to house lines, engine growling deeper as he comes off verges that protected him. And in a shop window, his own muzzle flickers past, a big finger tracing ration tins. First corner is survival. Dias's men hear him before they see him, an organ note bouncing stone. A Cromwell sits nose in to a courtyard chestnut tree. The crew tumble in half-dressed, radio dead, whip aerial bent from a branch on the ridge. A troop idles beyond the square. A commander stands tall to get height over a wall. He ducks and waves, tries the B set, gets an AA net. Seconds that should be orders become eye contact and a shrug. Too close to repeat yourself. One corner hides, the next traps. A Crusader AA has nosed into a side street. Cloudsley Thompson faces the old infantryman's truth. A weapon built for skybites bricks poorly. He drops the barrels, seeks a sliver of flank through an alley seam. He sees smoke bands and a stenciled number on a German turret, handwriting on a hammer. He rakes shutters and hinges to blind, not kill. Sparks flicker along faceplate. The Tiger turns, slow and sure, ignoring irritation for the main question. Wittmann chooses square over side street. Hub beats outlier. He lets a wall scrub the paint, glass collapsing around him. His gun stays forward. Shop fronts reflect a version of him back. Any street with depth gets the glacis. Depth is where a 6-pounder waits. He knows they'll pull one into a doorway or behind a low wall. Those shots at man's yardage don't respect thickness. The square is a working map. 2 Cromwells nosed by the Mary, a Bedford jackknifed into a lamppost under a film poster that no one will see today. A bicycle ticks against a curb. Fan out collapses to make room. Room is gone. A staff captain in a scout car reaches for a handset that talks to London. His shout moves faster. Tiger! Tiger! By God, Tiger! It snowballs through throats faster than radio. The Tiger fires. First round threads the left side Cromwell. The turret ring pops. Hatch pries open on heat. A hand silhouettes and vanishes. Second round steals the Bedford's heart. Hood flips like a kettle lid. Steam chasing petrol into white, then black. A carrier, a man with a grease pencil map. Critical nodes vanish by proximity. Wittmann hunts what speaks. He knows the first British coordination will be his last easy breath. A runner with a hand-folded message fights through heat. His paper says nets are mismatched. Bridging will be human through fire lanes. He goes anyway. Cloudsley Thompson edges a wheel at a time, optics hunting for a side plate seam. AirNet is static. GroundNet hasn't found him yet. He yanks off throat mic, yells to a PIAT-backed sergeant. They make a deal. Tracers to mark. Spring-loaded hope to bite at perfect range and angle. Poor trade on paper, necessary in brick. Distance has collapsed. They move. They mark. The Tiger makes another choice. The square sits on a shallow saddle. The road drops a handspan east. The sun that had his back sheens off windows ahead, corrupted mirrors that hide what they show. He tracks blind for 1 degree, then another, taking his direction on a periscope frame the size of a postcard. In one frame, a barrel outline sits lower than his, tucked at chest height in a doorway. Small, sharp British standard. If real, it can hurt him without asking. Down a side street, 2 sappers shove the 6-pounder like a stubborn cabinet, shield ringing a lintel as they slew it into place. The crew chief counts paces, palm flat to muzzle like soothing a horse. The layer checks elevation off the opposite sill. The sergeant mutters distance as spell, 120, 130. No sandbags, no time, 1 breath across 6 men and a lanyard that has never mattered more. Dias can't untangle nets now. He can create islands. He assigns by voice, 1 troop to the far side of the square, nose toward him, don't show flank. AA rake slits, not plates. Infantry into first floors with PIATs at raking angles. He accepts the road is lost. The town interior is the task. If the Tiger leaves whole, more will follow. Morning's consolidation flips to arrest. Wittmann's risks multiply with each yard. Tracks squeal on stone that hates them. Final drives click at limits. He wants to stop and place a shot. He knows a static tank in town is a dead tank by increments. Bottles, doorways, banisters disassembled into kill zones. He tells the driver to keep crawl speed, half clutch, listen to bogies, Mind gutter stones like teeth. A mobility kill here is a sentence. A broken track invites flames and faces he can't reach with a gun. He commits to movement even when stillness would sweeten aim. A carrier reverses into his path and stalls with a cough. A corporal in back swings an old boy's rifle like a ghost. He fires because doing nothing is theft. The round kisses mantlet and fails. Wittmann ignores it but learns from it. Everything will be tried. Corners that couldn't hide a tank can hide a man. The loader breathes cordite, palms AP, slams casing, knuckles bleeding into oil. The PIAT team hits physics. The arc demands distance they don't have. Spring whines a warning. They backstep into a kitchen with a set table. The Tiger's hull fills the window like weather. The sergeant has 1 second, too close for the bomb to arm. The miracle shot is from a stair landing into roof grills. He gestures up, a single word with the weight of an age. They climb, boot heels drums, while below the 6-pounder thread whispers new numbers. The Crusader AA strafes sight lines, tracers painting where the enemy looks. The arcs are purposeful and wild, meant to make the Tiger blink. It works for half a heartbeat. The 88 dips, rises, slews toward light, then a shell snaps into the corner of the house, screening the AA, peeling it like bark. Brick dust blasts over Cloudsley Thompson. He makes a private decision. Don't wait to be hit twice in the same square yard. He backwheels 2 turns, moves a cottage width, pushes forward into a new seam. Change constant to variable. By 5 seconds. At the far edge of the square, a command tank finds voice. The operator rips away a bent base, jams a length of copper reel into the socket, makes a makeshift whip. He shouts the net to silence as if volume changes reality. For a moment, the set listens. The message that matters crosses the noise. Anti-tank gun at bakery door, range 120. The words move yards like wire thought, land where needed. The 6-pounder's wrists shift, the tiniest correction. Wittmann's revelation is not a hunch. It is a glint, a muzzle brake, winking copper in a doorway gloom. He reorients a fraction, takes the shot on his thickest face. The British gun will aim low, chest height, lower plate if it can. He trusts the slab that says no. Loader is up. Gunner is holding breath. Solitude hums in the headset. The Tiger inches to a line, engine heat creeping toward a red mark. Wittmann watches from the corner of his eye. Inside the bakery door, the layer brings the reticle to where plate becomes slope. Hold! The number 2's finger taps his elbow like a metronome. The sergeant crouches to see under the shield, eyes on track pins climbing like slow teeth. The lanyard is a covenant. They have fired under chalk cliffs. Today the cliff is stone and names. Dias carries his map folded now, no land to read, just corners to own. Heat off the square hits like oven air. If the 6-pounder fails, the fallback is stairwells and alleys, courage measured in flights, not ranges. He writes nothing, he speaks little. Presence is the permission and the boundary. He glances at a white enamel street sign with a name that will live in reports. He cannot be historian, he must be hinge. Wittmann's driver hears another note, metal dragged onto stone to their right rear. He whispers it. The Tiger noses into the bakery line. The collimator glass frames a black square in pale stone. The sun drops behind cloud. Glare softens. Both shooters get shadow. The town holds its breath and waits to become memory. The layer sets his cheek to the pad. Eyes dry, no blink. Flour hangs in the bakery air, makes breathing taste like bread and cordite. In profile, he sees a figure at the Tiger's cupola. Suggestion more than man. It won't change the shot. It makes the shot personal. He takes up slack. He pulls. The gun punches back. Dust leaps. The shell smashes the Tiger's left track guard, tearing skirt plate, showering glasses with jagged steel. Wittmann kicks the driver to swing left. Keep face to muzzle. Optics flash white with grit. He blinks, reacquires. Binary choice: charge the gun or back into the open square where every window can bite. He charges. Gearbox grumbles. Turret motor whines. The 88 belches. The first answer is high, punching the wall behind the British shield. Loader rams another. The second shot breaks the 6-pounder's shield like a tin basin. Men tumble. A leg drags useless. Sandbags slump. The barrel sags. The doorway becomes rubble, part kitchen exposed, bread smashed with stone. Above, the PIAT team answers. The spring screams. A lob arcs at 20 yards. It hits the turret corner as the tank bucks a curb. The shaped charge spits molten spatter that pits cupola and chews periscope hood. No jet burns through, no lance into the fighting compartment. Inside, white sparks, chemical stink, a stinging eyebrow. Wittmann ducks, smears soot, heel taps the loader's boot. Smoke now. White canisters bounce and puke into lanes. The high street turns to a fog tunnel. On the British side, runners cough on the same cloud. A corporal bangs a bayonet hilt on a Cromwell's hull. Tiger into the town. 40 yards back, a Bedford panics at a flash and shoves itself into a shopfront, radiator splitting, green coolant bleeding onto cobbles slick with oil. The AA troop drags one hull nose on to the square, twin Oerlikons hauling up and down, hunting target shapes in ground war. Nets still bleed one another. A-set chatter overlaying B-set pleas. Call signs double. No one knows which voice is theirs. The Tiger clanks past a greengrocer's broken window. Fruit crates pop under track. Periphery catches a PIAT tube moving across a doorway, a cable tugged low where reversing will snag, and LMG's shallow arcs pattering on noseplate. Tracers don't matter, cables might. Hidden PIATs will if he lingers. Flanks are mortgage, brick faces are cliffs that hide knives. Leave as he came or punch deeper and cut phone lines with steel? He pushes. He dares a second bomb that doesn't come. A carrier noses from a side lane, sees him, slams reverse, engine screaming. The British build a maze. Chairs, a tipped motorcycle, a sandbag wedge. None stops a 57-ton hull. All steal seconds. Seconds separate ambush from exit. Through his sight, silhouettes simplify thinking. An angular turret jerks as a Cromwell tries to rotate in a tight street. A whip aerial shakes and stops as a tank dies in reverse. He clocks a new danger, even as flames take that Cromwell. A low-towed tube at the far end of the street, small and deadly. The British are learning by the minute. Angles are living now. Something clatters above. Grenade bounced from a window frame. It hits turret ring with a hollow thunk. Hendricks, the loader, swears, sweeps it with greasy fingers, tosses it away just before it cooks. Burst scatters glass and onion skins. The noise collapses into one shape. Engine, gear teeth, human noise, gun blast. The Tiger's temperature needle creeps toward red. A seized gearbox in this alley would write his epitaph. If he dies here, it will be from heat and immobility. Outside town, the road is a funnel of black smoke and wrecks. At the entrance, a Crusader AA slews, its commander halfway out. He sees a flash down the street and drops, pure reflex. Oerlikons sketch green lines up the Tiger's face, laddered hope, hollow sounds. The Tiger answers with, he. Shutters become splinters, wheels disintegrate, sandbags burst, men behind them arch. Not precise. Enough. The British can't stand and open. Everything becomes corners and choices to run or commit. Dias's map flaps on a turret lid, pencil to point 213, arrows down the Nationale, a rectangle meant to be held for an hour. The watch says that hour never existed. He gives orders anyway, shaving options to bone, drive off main road into verges and gateways, make lanes, bring spare AT up, dismount PIAT teams to upper floors, abandon softskins where they jam. Triage for steel. Except lose this to save that. It's late. Late is what he's got. His wireless operator repeats his words into noise until a voice grips the channel like a rope. Wittmann hears more now than he sees. The town is echo. To his left, someone rides throttle to fake bearing. To his right, boot slaps skip stone. From behind, a faster engine. Cromwell may be looping through back lanes. He points the driver to a gap between two houses, a thin garden wall that might break. Cut through to shake shadow. The Tiger dislikes sharp stone turns. Final drives scream protest. Turret slews to keep the forward arc live. Track pins clink as they bite and slip. He bets German steel against French masonry. Only one bends. The wall crumbles under weight. The Tiger surges into a kitchen garden, tearing bean poles and tomato vines, green snapping on gray. He's through, and broadcast doing it. The back lane ahead holds exactly what he feared. A Cromwell hull angled across, belly toward him, turret swinging for a flank shot that will matter. The British gunner has seconds to put a dart into a seam or die trying. Wittmann takes those seconds. The 88 is savage, mantlet splits. The gun silences before recoil speaks. The British turret spasms and stops, a hatch stuck half open, smoke unrolling. A PIAT team tries textbook. Close at angle, hit rear idler, kill track, make Tiger a pillbox. Distance 30 yards. Angle cruel. They rise from behind a rain barrel, sprint between orange trees, a dead chicken at a fence. One hip fires, the other carries a spare. The first bomb cuts the Tiger's side skirt like a sardine lid, peels it, scars a road wheel, fails to drive deep. The second does not come. The Bow MG answers with a flat stutter that folds one and throws the other into a low wall. The tactic is sound. The margin betrays them. Smoke thickens and thins like breath. Sun cuts through it in shafts that silhouette bodies and windows and make them targets for a beat too long. The fight becomes snapshots. A tank reversed into a shop, a carrier jammed under a horse cart, the Tiger's turret clips a cafe sign. Letters spin on chain. Crash. The smell is diesel, bread, cordite. Each gear change is bet, push, back, crush. The longer he stays, the more British numbers multiply. He is a single piece deep on the wrong side of the board. Squares shrink, he knows. Gauge edging red, loader down to last AP without digging. Radio gives him only his breath. No other Tiger in this picture. The ambush wasn't plotted, it was read and seized. Ahead is the square he's punctured. Behind is the necklace he strung. He needs minutes. He has seconds. He takes the safe truth. Smoke, reverse through the square. Find the gap on the road home. He noses out of the garden, tracks screaming over sulfur glaze and iron fence. In the square, the Crusader lifts barrels and follows too late. Green dotted lines go nowhere. The Tiger's return through his own fog is a retreat and a trick. British shapes advance, then check, unsure. His turret points everywhere and nowhere. He drives through the shredded 6-pounder doorway and the bodies that shade it, past the lorry bleeding coolant, the bent motorcycle spinning a wheel in a tired blur. He passes stories he started. At the town's lip, the world opens. Smoke lifts to show what he made. Cromwell's black and immutable, soft skins folded into stone, ammunition crates breathing smoke. Outside, air is clear, sun is bright, every 100 meters is an age regained. He keeps his face to clumps of wreckage, anything can hide there. He angles along the verge to avoid oil pools that would turn track pads to skates. The verge gives, ditch edges wait like jaws. Every correction is risk. Too hard a brake, and a final drive could seize. Too soft, and he'll slide into a culvert. If he sticks here, the British will walk PIATs to him like letters to a slot. Back on the Nationale, rear elements finally understand the roar isn't theirs, the dust isn't movement, and the halt isn't routine. Orders go by hand and shout. Guns swing late. Those that can fire must shoot through their own dead. Through his sights, Wittmanns sees aftermath and options. He does not shoot unless a shape threatens his movement. Every second saved is a mile bought for his gearbox and his plan. He has taken their morning and bent it. He knows he has a finite number of mechanical minutes left to leave the scene alive. A fallen poplar branch drapes a map against a tank's hull, pencil to con, ending at a scorched fold. A driver's glove lies palms up by the line of melted tarmac. The ridge lifts under the Tiger again. Engine dips as he crests the reverse slope that hid him at the start. From there, the field he made is legible. The gap, the first shot, the chain. Sun angles that bleached his approach, British silhouettes that glowed, spacing that turned them into a coin line flicked one by one. What he saw was invitation. What kept them from saying no was a net of small mistakes that turned into a net of flame. He gets one last look back. Villers Bocage holds black banners above glass glitter like frost. Street signs twist toward nowhere. He fixes the picture with a glance and disappears behind hedge as a tail fading in weeds. The clamor recedes. Metal ticks as it cools. Voices go low where they can still lift. Birds test the air and start again where sheets of smoke thin. The column behind reshuffles into stutters, some pushing into farm gates on grinding clutches, some towing wounded hulls by rope, some chalking new arcs for PIATs in upstairs rooms. Dias holds the edge of the square and calls what's left to him. Bring up the second gun, keep the lanes, hold the interiors, while the lane ahead breathes slowly like a furnace closing. Smoke drifts over a line of wrecks curving into Villers Bocage, the sun returning to a road now silent but for ticking metal.